Hello guys, welcome back to another Lumley trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some in-depth stock analysis on EFOI, which is day's one of the leading gappers of today. ISIG was up 84%, which is obviously more, but as you can quickly see, it's already gone quite heavily over the deviation. So if you are looking at this stock, I mean, we would expect it to come back and below that kind of 1450, but it's so far away from the deviations it doesn't make too much sense to be doing analysis on that. So instead we'll be doing it on EFOI. These are the ones we actually placed pre-market, or maybe just as market opened, and we can see it came into these deviations, and then it did end up catching the exact top of the day, and that was it. Yeah, if you were watching the deviations and day trading it, you would have had those same levels. But we will wipe off those deviations and plot some new ones. So firstly, as always, we go onto a clean daily chart and see, is there any gaps that need to be filled. From the looks of it, any gaps there were have been filled. We did have one at kind of that $4 level that has since been filled. So really the only one we're looking at is the one to come back down to that 195 level, which we would expect to see at some point, but not something we would personally be holding short until we come back to there, because there's no reason it can't spike higher, even if in the past it's really only had these one-day moves before continuing down. That's one thing to take into note with this stock, is that it has done these massive moves before, but they seem to be one-day moves. The one day that it does gap, it tends to be its biggest day, and then it will just fade off. So most likely we will see the same thing with EFOI coming into the end of this week. But if it does decide to continue up, we will give you targets for that, and they are quite close to each other, which is a good thing to see, because when you see this, it usually makes the level stronger. So that's usually a good thing to be seeing, especially on small caps. So for right now, our levels are these. We'll go back to our 1 day 1 minute chart just so it's clearer to see. And as we can see, yeah, I mean, they did work quite well intraday, coming back, retesting these multiple times. If it does decide to continue lower, I wouldn't take too much taking too much into account of these levels here now, like the 412, the 440, these levels. Yes, you will probably get some reaction if the stock goes back up to that price, but as it's already touched those levels, it's just a lot of excessive risk to be retrading a level that's already been touched. So we instead only look for levels that haven't yet been touched. So the 480, the 530, the 550, these are all levels where we would look to be getting short bias on the stock, or at least expect a relatively large pullback coming into these levels, and 615 being the highest. But if the stock does continue to go down, we don't really have any deviations kind of going to the downside. I guess we have the statistical mean. So if you're waiting for it to get back to and fill its gap at around 195, we will most likely get some pressure at this 175 kind of slash 160 area, and because that is coming in statistical mean. So if the stock continues down, we would expect to see some sort of a bounce here. May not come all the way back up to 345, but we would definitely expect some buying pressure in here, at least slightly, maybe to the $3 move. And then if it's going to continue lower, then we would expect it eventually to come down and kind of crack this 195. But overall, if the stock continues up, that's more what we'd be paying attention to. If it starts fading off, it's kind of a stock we would just ignore. But if it does decide to continue up, we'll be looking for that break of 440, so today's high, and then we would be looking to maybe get short bias at 480, 530, 550, and 615. If it continues up to those levels. So that's a quick breakdown on EFOI. Hope that gives you some insight into the stock. Hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.